ELGA Credit Union and Mid-Michigan Now proudly present the Emmy Award-winning holiday musical, A Classy Brassy Christmas and More.
Happy holidays and welcome to a somewhat different A Classy Brassy Christmas and More. I'm Bill Harris from Mid-Michigan Now.
And I'm Lisa Marie from Cars 108. This year's performance and broadcast is different because of the two words we've heard many times over the past few months, pandemic and virtual.
Due to the pandemic, we've had to make some adjustments to the way we planned and produced this year's A Classy Brassy Christmas and More. The performance itself, recorded earlier this month, was, due to COVID restrictions, not recorded before a theater audience. Also, every precaution was taken to protect the health and safety of all involved in the stage production.
And as you see, Bill and I are taking precautions by co-hosting the broadcast from our homes, turning this into a virtual performance. However, one change that's not pandemic related is the venue.
We are excited to bring you the 2020 A Classy Brassy Christmas and More from Saginaw's historic Temple Theater.
ELGA Credit Union proudly presents a Mid-Michigan Now, Cars 108, and Saginaw Bay Symphony Orchestra production from Saginaw's iconic Temple Theater. A Classy Brassy Christmas and More. With your hosts, Cars 108's Lisa Marie and Mid-Michigan Now's Bill Harris. Featuring performances by the Saginaw Bay Brass, Saginaw Bay String Consort, and the St. Lorenz Chamber Singers.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Connie and Ben.
Dancing with talking with Wolf for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen.
And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
There's a tree in the ground to tell.
One in the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. Right within your
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey
we need a little Christmas right this very minute. It hasn't sprung a single flurry, but Santa dear, we're in a hurry, so climb down the chimney to the number brightest light of lights I've ever seen. It's time we hung some tinsel on that evergreen ball. For I've grown a little leaner, grown a little colder, grown a little sadder, grown a little older, and I need a little angel sitting on my shoulder. Need a little Christmas love. For we need a little music, need a little laughter, need a little singing, ringing through the rafter, and we need a little snappy, happy ever after. Need a little Christmas, need a little Christmas, need a little Christmas now.
You've just met the St. Lorenz Chamber Singers. Now time to welcome to the stage two other musical ensembles taking part in this year's performance.
The Saginaw Bay String Consort and the Saginaw Bay Brass. Well, the Strings have chosen a selection that, since its introduction by a heavy metal band in 1995, has become one of the best-selling holiday digital singles of all time. You should recognize it almost immediately, thanks to a group of musicians collectively known as the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Then the brass will get us in a traditional mood with a popular 18th century Christmas carol. It's one that's also appeared in Home Alone, Saturday Night Live, The Muppets, and even on the soundtrack for a Batman video game. At the beginning of the broadcast, Bill and I mentioned how different this year's performance and broadcast is because of the pandemic. However, what's not different is this year's inclusion of traditional musical selections to the program, and that means carols. And tonight we have lots of them. Like this performance by the Saginaw Bay Brass, Fantasia for Christmas.
For many watching us tonight, a traditional Christmas includes music inspired and influenced by religion. I remember as a kid going to midnight mass with my parents and listening in awe to the marvelous heavenly voices of the church choir. One selection in particular stayed with me through the years. This one dates back to about 1715, actually composed by a priest who at the time was choir director for an orphanage for girls in Vienna. For Antonio Lucio Vivaldi, aka the Red Priest, it is considered by many to be his most famous choral piece.
Traditions have to begin somewhere, right? Well, we hope to begin a music tradition tonight with a broadcast premiere. Scott Heislop is the Director of Parish Music at St. Lorenz Church in Frankenmuth, whose chamber singers are among tonight's performers. He has composed a work that is about to get its broadcast premiere. Bill had an opportunity to sit down with Scott at St. Lorenz Church and learn more about Winter Night Gives Birth Today. Bill?
All right, Scott, what was the inspiration for this piece?
This is a text that was sent to me by a friend out in Portland, Oregon some years ago, and I knew I always wanted to set it. So I used the time that I had during the quarantine to write a setting for a congregational setting for voices and organ. And then when I realized I was going to need another piece for our Christmas concerts, I then expanded it out to be sung by a choir accompanied with string and handbells.
You mentioned quarantine and the pandemic. Trying to compose a work in itself has problems. Was this a hindrance or a help this year?
It actually was a benefit because my regular schedule doesn't allow me a lot of time to sit and compose music. But when the quarantine hit, I had nothing but time. So I was able to spend time putting together what I feel is a pretty strong piece.
And the title?
Winter Night Gives Birth Today.
Stars high overhead create a crown above his bed. Mary says, "The light of God is resting on the infant's head."
Among the many treasured Christmas carols that has religious influence is one that possibly dates back to the 13th century. The inspiration for it comes from the dramatization of favorite Bible stories for the holidays, which were called miracle plays.
Now, this one tells the story of the night that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, based on the gospel accounts of Luke and Matthew. Its title is from the French word for Christmas and is also from the Latin word natalis, meaning birthday. Okay, Lisa, answer me this. If we run down a list of animated holiday characters we see this time of year, and there are a lot of them, who am I missing? Santa? Frosty the Snowman? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Any major leaguers I'm forgetting?
Yes, this guy. He deserves recognition because, at the urging of his sidekick, he directed a neighborhood Christmas play that sadly was ignored and mocked by his peers, but soon learned about the true meaning of Christmas. Thank you, Charlie Brown.
As many of you know, my roots extended to Massachusetts, where as a kid I grew up watching and listening to the Boston Pops Orchestra and the legendary Arthur Christmas Pops Fiedler. And even though Fiedler's list of Christmas classics is about a mile long, there is one arguably that can be best associated with the Boston Pops. The year was 1949 when they first recorded this Leroy Anderson classic.
Christmas is not the only religious celebration this time of year. The 8-day observance of Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights, was celebrated beginning on December 10th.
While there are several well-known musical works associated with Hanukkah, Dreidel is one that comes quickly to mind. Tonight's performers chose to celebrate Hanukkah with a work by George Frederick Handel. The entire ensemble will perform See the Conquering Hero, which, according to music historians, depicts the changing moods of the Jewish people as their fortunes vary from dejection to jubilation.
Nothing says tradition like a Christmas carol that dates back over 1,200 years, yet is still considered by many in the 21st century as a classic from the days when it was sung by 8th century monks to a 1988 version by Mannheim Steamroller. O Come, Emmanuel is still one of our most treasured Christmas compositions. Well, we've sadly reached the end of our virtual holiday musical celebration. We sincerely hope that during these challenging times, we have brought some joy, some smiles, some laughter, and some hope right into your hearts during this holiday season. Our thanks go out to ELGA Credit Union, the Temple Theater, the musicians of the Saginaw Bay Symphony Orchestra, and the St. Lorenz Chamber Singers, and of course, Mid-Michigan Now and Cars 108.
We conclude with what coincidentally was the finale performed 37 years ago this month at what was the predecessor of A Classy Brassy Christmas, A Christmas Pops with the Saginaw Symphony Orchestra. It became the signature close for decades that followed. Merry Christmas, happy and healthy holidays, everyone.
This presentation of the Emmy-winning A Classy Brassy Christmas and More from Saginaw's Historic Temple Theater was brought to you with season's greetings by ELGA Credit Union, building lifelong relationships. This has been a production of the Saginaw Bay Symphony Orchestra, Cars 108, and Mid-Michigan Now.